full guide to living longer. So you want to live on this planet for longer. What are the steps you need to start taking to actually get there? Now, obviously, we don't know how long we are actually going to live, but we can do a lot to improve the chances that we are going to live longer, and we're increasing our longevity, okay? Listen, I've been working on my fitness for 5 years now, working on my health for 5 years now. I've built a nice aesthetic physique. I've gotten lean. I've probably added multiple years onto my life just by doing a few things. And it doesn't have to take over your whole life. You don't have to become the next Brian Johnson or whatever. You just need to do a few simple habits that will actually lead to you living a longer, healthier, happier life. And to be honest, I think that is a goal that everyone should have, because why would you not want to live on this planet for longer? Why would you not want to spend more time with your family longer? Why would you not want to spend the time you have in this one life, most likely, for longer? Okay, so the first step, the first habit is to change your diet. In my opinion, that is very, very important. By the way, in my description, there is my aesthetic body course and my one-to-one online coaching. Go and check those out. They will change your life if you let them. Okay, so what do I mean change your diet? Well, it is very, very likely you are eating a very poor diet, okay? And to be honest, it's very usual, very common nowadays for people to have a very bad diet. And I understand, all right? Junk food tastes amazing. Processed foods, they taste amazing. I fall victim to them sometimes, but genuinely, your diet is really, really important in regulating your internal functioning and also making sure you look good in the mirror as well. So, you actually improve your confidence and your physique. But when it comes to your health, you need to change your diet up, okay? Most people are living their life eating these processed foods 80, 90, 100% of the time. It is not good for you. So what do I suggest instead? I know you are not a robot, okay? In the same way I'm not a robot, I am a human being. We make mistakes, we want to have a bit of fun, we don't want to feel too restricted. So I haven't come up with it, but the diet that I suggest is the 80-20 diet or the 70-30 diet, whatever. This is where you eat the real whole foods 80, 70% of the time. Okay, you're getting all those micronutrients, all the nutrients you need to genuinely have a good internal functioning, good internal body, good internal system. And then 20, 30% of the time, you still enjoy those junk foods in moderation. Now, there is that quote, everything in moderation. And I do think that is true, right? When it comes to your diet, I think it is very, very difficult to stick to a diet that is only the real whole foods. I tried to for 4 months. I tried to stick to this real whole foods diet, but I couldn't stick to it long term because it felt too restrictive. So I went to this 80-20 diet. 80% of my calories go to the real whole foods, the high in protein foods, the good macronutrients, etc. Then 20% of the time, I will, 20% of my calories are going to the processed foods that I know aren't as good for me, that I know aren't amazing, but you want to be on this life and enjoy it. You want to make memories, and having those foods are actually quite a big part of it, in my opinion. So I personally think it's just more realistic to have this 80-20 diet, and it's going to genuinely add years to your life if you can stick to that for the rest of your life. If you can stick to the 70-30, 80-20 diet compared to the diet you have now, which is likely the 80, 90, 100% processed food diet, you are adding years to your life. So good tick mark already. You've made so much progress if you can get to a point where only 30% of the time you're eating the processed foods. Now, a little tip if you want to try your best to reduce the processed foods you are eating is, I would say, do progressively deload, okay? So I'm a firm believer of the best way to break a habit is not by going cold turkey. I think everyone knows that, but is by progressively deloading. So there's an idea in the gym that every single week you want to add reps, add weight to the bar, progressively overload, right? We're doing the opposite of that when it comes to this habit, right? We want to progressively deload. Every week we want to take weight off the bar, right? So for example, say you're eating the processed foods 100% of the time. I want you to eat the processed foods, try for 1 week, 90% of the time. And you might be thinking, yeah, but that's doing nothing. That is progress. That is progress. We're not looking for perfection. We are looking for progress. And in you just making that little 10% change, you changing 10% going from 100% to 90%, that's going to have some big impacts. Then you go to 80% the next week, then 70%, then 60%, then 50%, then 40%, then 30%, then 20%, and bam, most of your diet is now the real whole foods, the good foods, the one ingredient foods, the meat, the eggs, the fruit, the vegetables, the grains, the foods you know you need to eat to be healthy. And then 20% of the time, you're enjoying yourself still. So that's the first tip I would say if you want to live a nicer, longer, happier life. It is to have a good diet, and I would suggest the 80-20 diet so you can still enjoy your life and enjoy those artificial foods, processed foods some of the time. Now, what else do I suggest? Cardio. Cardio is so important, or just movement in general is so important to living a longer life, improving your longevity. What do I mean when I say cardio? Now, there are different ways to do cardio. There's different people categorize cardio in different ways. I personally see going and getting 15,000 steps a day. I see that as cardio. I see that as, wow, well done. You are improving your longevity. You're going to add years to your life if you did that for the rest of your life. That's how I see it. But then there's also other people who think walking isn't really cardio. I would see cardio as something like doing the elliptical, doing some cycling, going for a run, etc. So I would personally say get around 10 to 15,000 steps a day. That's going to be really good for you to get lean, for you to drop the body fat, which again is going to improve your likelihood of living a longer, happier life already. But also, it is improving the one muscle that is neglected by everyone for some crazy reason. The most important muscle in the body. Can you guess what it is? The heart. Your cardiovascular system is very, very important. And if you can improve it, you are going to be able to fend against diseases. You're going to be less likely to contract certain illnesses, right? You're going to live on this planet for longer. So what do I suggest? I suggest do 150 minutes a week, around there, of zone 2 steady state cardio, and pick any cardio you want. Either your favorite cardio or the cardio that is the easiest to stick to. That is what I would suggest, okay? Now, you could go and, on top of that, get 10 to 15,000 steps a day. And then, 150 minutes a week, go and do some cycling. Go and run, but do it zone 2, okay? Do it slowly. Be able to do it for 3 hours long, okay? That is how you know you are in zone 2 steady state. You can talk to people while you do it, okay? You're getting your heart pumping, you're raising your heartbeat, everything's great. You are training your heart. Now listen, I fell into this trap for a very long time in my life. I was training every single muscle, even my neck for a while. I was literally training every single muscle. The only muscle I wasn't training was my heart. And without this, none of this is here. I wouldn't be here speaking right now. So go improve your heart muscle, okay? So far we've improved our diet, which is going to be really good for our whole system, okay? It's going to mean you're more likely to not get as ill. You're more likely to just simply be healthier. Then you've also got cardio. You're adding cardio and you're getting 10 to 15,000 steps a day, and you're doing 150 minutes cardio a week. Great. And I'm not saying HIIT cardio. I'm not saying really intense cardio. I just mean steady state zone 2 cardio. You break a little bit of a sweat. That's it. Nothing crazy. Put your favorite YouTube video on. Do the cardio, okay? Pick the cardio you enjoy the most and stick to it, all right? You just do those 2 things. You will add upwards to 5 years. Now, what is another thing you can do to live a longer, happier life? It is dropping body fat. Now, to an extent, let me explain. If you drop your body fat percentage too low, like if you're going less than 10%, then that's actually going to have negative impacts, okay? That we don't want that, all right? But for the majority of people, dropping body fat will benefit their health, okay? Body fat shouldn't always be seen as the devil, okay? You think about body fat. Body fat is just stored energy, okay? It is just what your body has had an excess of calories. You fed it an excess of calories, and it's just stored energy, all right? That's it. It's calories, right? It's calories. So you can expend those calories and you can lose those calories. You can use that energy, right? And it takes time, but you can start breaking down those fat stores. Now, for the majority of people, most men, around 25% body fat, 30, 35%, etc., they would add years to their life if they maybe got to 15%. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20%, even the 15 to 20% range. Doesn't even have to be 12, 13%, whatever. 15 to 20%, they would add a few years to their life. Being obese, right, which is I think 35% body fat is where you're obese. I think 40% is when you're morbidly obese, something like that for men. Like, you have taken 10 years off your life, 20 years off your life. And if you just drop your body fat, you lose a bit of that weight, you're adding years to your life. So what do I suggest? Well, track your calories. So go and find out your calorie maintenance and go 300 to 500 calories underneath that calorie maintenance, okay? Stick to that, weigh yourself every week, take progress pictures every week. Then make sure you're eating that 80-20 diet. Make sure you also get into the gym in this time so you build a bit of muscle, because again, building muscle is going to mean you stay lean easier because muscle burns more fat. It boosts your metabolism more. And then, get 10 to 15,000 steps a day, do the 150 minutes cardio. And if you track your calories properly, you're going to be in a calorie deficit, you're going to be losing weight. And it might take a year to, lose the 100 pounds you need to lose, but you can ensure, for a fact, you've added 10 years to your life. And personally, I think that is awesome, right? 10 extra years you wouldn't have had because you just did a bit of a weight loss journey. I mean, that's absolutely insane. And now if you couple all of those things I've said so far, you couple the good diet, the cardio, and dropping body fat, and increasing muscle mass, because muscle mass is also good for your health and living a longer life, actually. Wow. You are definitely adding upwards to 5, 10, 15, even 20 years to your life. Isn't that crazy? You could literally have 2 decades of life longer if you just stick to those things. And honestly, I don't think it's that crazy to be able to say, I'm sticking to those things. Yeah, it's a little bit of discipline, right? It's going to be a bit difficult, but then it just becomes routine. And then you can, if you don't have the motivation to do it, that's insane, because you're basically saying, I'm not motivated to live on this planet for longer. That's crazy, right? You want to live on this planet for longer. You're very, very sad if you do not want to live on this planet for longer. So try your best to do all of those things. The best way to build muscle mass, by the way, is to get yourself into the gym. Train each muscle group twice a week. Make sure you get, maybe 8 to 12 sets per muscle group per week is a good place if your intensity is high. And you'll be building loads of muscle. Your heart will be in good health. It takes some time. Make sure every week you're progressively overloading in some way with your weights, but also with your cardio. As time goes on, it will become easier to do longer distances. You can up the intensity a little bit, but you'll burn more calories basically, even though you're staying in that zone 2, because you become more efficient. You're going to have more muscle mass, which is mean you're going to stay leaner. Your diet's going to be good, meaning your internal functioning is going to be all great. And wow, you just added 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 years onto your life. And I mean, who doesn't want that, right? Now, in the description, there are those 2 links. One is to my aesthetic body course, and that course gives all of my advice, all of my knowledge on how to build an attractive aesthetic physique. That course will change your life if you take action and listen to what I say. It has compiled 5 years of researching and putting things into practice myself, learning what works, learning what doesn't work, and I've just put that into a course for you so you could just bypass all the mistakes I've ever made and get in the best shape of your life and make progress so much quicker than I ever did, right? So that's crazy. And honestly, I don't want you to understate how important getting into shape and building an attractive aesthetic physique is. It will change your life. And it won't just change your life in the sense that you'll look better in the mirror, you'll be more confident, but it will also change your life when it comes to your health, your relationships, your career, etc. because you are learning the skill of discipline, and discipline can be extrapolated into all areas of life. And so all areas of your life will improve if you buy this course and get into shape, right? Then the other link goes to my online one-to-one coaching calls. you can hop on a call with me and I will genuinely be there for an hour and answer any question you have about fitness, give you any advice you need to get into the best shape of your life and build an attractive, aesthetic physique and get your dream physique. All right, go and check those links out. They will change your life if you let them.